And then are there any things you can share? Like, I mean, obviously you had been with iManage for like 20 years. Were there things that you saw in the iManage roadmap or the platform that we offered that said, you know what, this is the partnership that we want to go in for maybe the next 20 years?
Mhm. To be honest with you, we went to the market, we did the research, and we found that there are two major players in this space. iManage is one of them. As you said, we had been with iManage for more than 20 years. We were on an older version that was managed internally. We knew the tool. We were comfortable with the tool. There were just new features and functionality that we wanted. And quite frankly, the demos that we saw of the product had a lot of what we were looking for. So what we knew is that we just needed to move to the current version of the product. The other thing that was on our roadmap, which is coming up now, is the need to better manage our document retention policies and strategy. We were at a point where we were growing in terms of our documents being stored, but not really properly applying corporate policies towards destruction after a certain retention period. There's also been quite a bit of regulations like the California Privacy Act that has come up that really regulate how we manage our documents. So in order to prepare for that, we knew that we would need a tool. So one of the most interesting parts of iManage was the tool called Records Manager, it's IRM, within the module that comes with iManage that allows us to actually apply our records retention policy and strategy using that tool. That would be one of the key features that actually we knew would be on our roadmap that would be helpful to us.
Right, that's good. We hear that quite often where people say, okay, I've got document management, I've got all of my stuff in the system, it's secure, I can search for it, I can find it, now what else can I do? And then you move into these other things where I can, you know, use artificial intelligence, and we'll talk about that in a second, and then like records manager and things like that. So one question I did have for you with, you know, obviously with iManage, there are many ways to get at that information. You can come in through a browser, you can come in through you know, Microsoft Outlook with your email. You know, some people, you know, that have been around for 20 years doing this, remember desk site and file site. So I'm sure you probably had a mix of users, right? I mean, did you have, so how did that work out with adoption? Because you have the new interface, but some people may like the old interface for a while. How did that work out?
You know, adoption is always a part of a huge project change. And what we found is that we got glowing reviews for the new web-based tool with iManage from our newer users. They found it easier to learn, easier to use, and in comparison, they all loved it. They thought that it was certainly, and I would offer, they could probably use the knowledge that they had from using other systems that are web-based that would allow them to quickly learn iManage Web. In contrast, many of our more experienced users who had been around for many years were very familiar with the file site, which is what we refer to as, but the integrated Outlook version that was sort of a tree-based structure that looks more like an older network drive. It was just it was a familiar path towards finding and searching and storing documents. So the biggest problem that we had from adoption was getting those older users to accept the new functionality in the web-based tool, which are the search features, the filtering, to really think about storing documents differently.
Interesting, because I know they, you know, just I've been at iManage so many years, and you're right, there are some people that they love it the way it is. Don't, you know, what is it? Don't move my cheese. I just want to have it that way. And you're like, but there's a better way. And now let me ask you this. Now with the new, you know, some of the latest releases of what we call Work 10, you know, there is a grid view and a tree view, you know, that you can use. Are some of those users starting to say, oh, now I can have this newer interface and still have my tree and things like that?
Yes, definitely. We were in contact with those users via surveys, et cetera, to find out what is stopping you from fully embracing the new web view. And the biggest issue was viewing items in a tree, or as you said, a grid format. They like the format, they're used to it. And fortunately, I want to say it was late last year, the update in iManage allows for that structure in the web-based tool. And that's been a game changer for getting those users to actually fully embrace the web browser. So we're thinking about if we still need the file site version at all. We really want our users to embrace the current technology.
Yeah, and it just allows you to simplify training and things like that, where you just have one, one user interface. Well, that's great to hear. So we talked a little bit about records management, and I think that's one of your next, one of your next phases.
Mhm.
What about other things? Does the Home Depot, do you think about artificial intelligence and how to extract information out of documents and things like that? Is that anywhere in your, I mean, I know you guys are really busy. Is that anywhere in your roadmap or coming up?
It's it's being explored at this point. We're very
Mm,
much just trying to understand what our opportunities are. Right now, our focus is on stabilizing our iManage deployment, making sure our users 100% adopt the web-based strategy and approach,
right.
giving training to our users, making sure that they're using the tool as efficiently as possible, and then applying this records management module so that we can ensure that we're complying with corporate policy in terms of document retention.
Mhm.
AI is definitely on our roadmap, but we're in the early stages of just taking a look at it. But we've got to get past those basic structural items first.
Right, right. That makes sense. And again, that's sort of what we hear at the progression of things, the document management, the records, and then move into, artificial intelligence where we can extract information and learn about the content that's inside the documents that iManage is
Mhm.
managing for you. Well, that is really good. And thank you so much again. I'm sure this session is very informative to people, and others are going to want to talk to you about your journey with iManage. Is there anything in closing? I just want to thank you very, very much for doing this. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I hope the next time we do this, we can be sitting on a stage and next to each other and in person. I'm sure that'll happen for us next year. So again, thank you so much. Any closing remarks from you are more than welcome.
I just like to say we definitely had a very good experience with iManage. We are happy with the support that we receive. Moving to the cloud has been a great experience because it's relieved us of a huge burden of maintaining servers and worrying about upgrades. And there's just a lot of work that we don't have to do now, which allows us to focus on our core business. So, just from your other customers, just to know that that has been a good change for us and our relationship has been a good one. So, we appreciate all of your support as well.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys as clients, and thank you so much for speaking with us today.
No problem. Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks.